Hey guys, it's Mava here again, back with another video, and today will be my first video on my first project of the year 2024. And so basically, I'm calling this my Spotify machine learning project. So basically, I had this idea that every year Spotify does Spotify Wrapped, meaning they take everyone's data and they do a compilation of the songs and genres and artists you listen to for the entire year. So I wanted to take it a step further and see if I could find some unique, relationships in my data, as well as make some predictions on just songs I listen to, what time, what type, the genre, what time I listen to certain songs, what time I listen to certain genres. So that's et cetera, et cetera. But that's later down the road. But right now, this first video is just going to be me walking through you guys kind of my process. This is the more data analysis part of the project. So it's just strictly data analysis here, no model prepping, no model tuning. No data pipeline creating, just straightly data analytics is what this first video is going to be about, and what this file is going to be about, because it ended up being the data sets that I was using and some of the processes that I did ended up taking. I had to use more than one Jupyter Notebook file. So yeah. So I guess starting off right here, this is my get the Spotify token. So Spotify has their own API, which you can Google and research how to use. It's actually pretty easy. I'm going to have to blur these out because I don't want you guys to be able to see these. So I might just cut the video and then leave it right here. So this, guys, if you are coming after I cut the video because I accidentally showed my my tokens or whatever, access tokens. This is my token, and I'm probably gonna have to cut this too now that I'm realizing it. So we're gonna come back to after this cut. So right here is where you want to import your packages. I always like to import my packages in the beginning of the file just because it makes it easier, and I just don't have to remember it later on during the project. So here are all the packages I imported. These are all pretty. You can Google these and pretty much get an explanation of what they are, what their use is, and how to call them. So this is me importing the packages, and then this is where I import my data set. So right now I have all my data in my Jupyter Notebook saved under this path right here, projects.spotify data. And each one of the files that I'm using is streaming history, because right now I'm analyzing the streaming history. So not necessarily the songs that I have in my Spotify library, but the songs that I have streamed over the past year. This data is from 2023. So obviously it's going to be a little outdated because I did just update my playlist and I started listening to a few new songs, a few new artists, and you'll see why. So this is the function I use to get that data concatenated into a single data frame, which is easy for analysis. So that's that function, and then it prints out this data frame. So as you can see, the components in these streaming history files are the end time, meaning the time that the song, what time you played the song, what time it ended, the artist name, so you can see the different artists, the track name, obviously song name, and then the milliseconds played. So milliseconds played is obviously how long the song was played for that specific time. For example, I listened to Mr. Waves featuring Chris Brown and T.I. by Mr. Probs. I listened to that for 661 milliseconds at on August 11th, about 1:24 p.m. Why? I have no idea. I don't even remember listening to that, but like I said, it's the data. So this right here is how you get the token, which I already got previously. I'm not going to show you it because then someone y'all could access my application once I fully complete it. But this is how you call the Spotify API to actually access some of the functions that they have. And these are two right here that I might use in a later use, might not, but I just wanted to show you guys because it's kind of cool. So get playlist by genre. Obviously it searches by the genre you give, and it gives a limit. So for example, get playlist by genre. I obviously did rap playlists, and it's gonna give me 25 different rap playlists that are just found on Spotify that people have made. So you can see, some of the information that I get, and it's all in JSON files. So I have to convert that to a data frame if I want to do something with this function. Same with this print playlist info. It's gonna print the playlist name, and then it's gonna give the tracks and then the total amount of tracks on each playlist. So I didn't call this function right here, but I did call this function right here. And so this function gave me this output right here. Oh, I actually did call the second function, my mistake. The second function is right here, and obviously I put in the playlist, and obviously it has different playlist names, the tracks, and the total. So Rap Caviar has 51 tracks. Rap Hits 2010 2023 has 289 tracks, etc., etc. So those are some cool functions that I might do something with later on during the project. So now we come to my, I don't know why I named it library data frame, but this is my streaming history data frame. All concatenated, all nice and neat, all ready to be analyzed. So right here is kind of the way that I like to do my data analysis, is that I find, so for example, I want to see how many unique artists I have in my, that I streamed this year, and I streamed 2,043 new artists. And this is what I like to do. I like to go column name, and I like to do value count, because it shows each time each artist song was streamed. So for example, I streamed Chris Brown a total of 5,873 times, Drake 2,052 times, Lil Baby 1661, etc., etc. So since there are over 2,000 individual artists, what I did is I did this cell right here, which I just basically did this, but turned it into a data frame, and I set the head to 10. So this gives you the top 10 most listened to artists for me for 2023. And so obviously get the data frame, printed it out, got the index here. So yeah, and then so what I like to do is there is a package library called Plotly, and Plotly expresses PX. So the reason why I like using Plotly PX to showcase my data is because you can hover over it and you can see, obviously 36% of my stream music was Chris Brown, but you can see the count. So you can see the count, you can see it's different, highlighted in different colors, you can download as a PNG, you can produce with Plotly GS, which is like a more interactive function. So I really like Plotly PX because it just gives you a more interactive feature. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's a supplement it's a replacement for Power BI. We'll get to that in a later video, but I really like this just because I can see it's nice and color coordinated and all that. Yeah. So I repeat that process a bunch of times. Here is one with milliseconds played, and as you can see, I listened to Chris Brown the most by a long shot, and then Rod Wave, Dre, Jason Derulo, etc., etc. I did the same process, but this time I used the apply and the lambda function to transform it into minutes played, because I don't want to see it in milliseconds. I want to see it how many minutes. So so this apply function, basically it takes a lambda function and just applies it to the entire column. And what a lambda function is right here. So lambda x. So lambda x is essentially for each row in this column. So it's kind of like XY coordinates. So this is your x, right, and this is your y. So for each x, I'm going to go through, call x again. So for each element in the column, I'm going to divide it by 60,000, because that's how many milliseconds are in a minute. And so it applies it to the entire column. It's kind of a replacement for loop, and I like this more efficiently because it is only one line. And yeah, so I call the lambda function, and I get this pretty pie chart here. And obviously 42% of the time I stream Chris Brown, which is about 8,000 minutes, which off the top of my head equates to about, let's see, so that's not 100. Sorry guys, I'm really trying to think. So divided by 30, 60 minutes. How many minutes? Divided by, wow, I'm dumb. Sorry, John, I'm trying to do mid quick. Divided by 60, so that's about 10. That's about 150 hours of Chris Brown I streamed to without the year, approximately. Just off the top of my head, that is a lot. And just for reference, you can see Plotly also has bar graphs too, so this is a really cool feature. So you can see I listen to Chris Brown almost more than I listen to any other artist combined. So yes, I'm a Chris Brown fan. I know. So now we're going to move on to tracks I played one too many times. These are the top 10 songs that I streamed for 2023. And I did the same process as above. And I did obviously total duration, divided it by 60,000 because I want to see it in minutes, not milliseconds. So as you can see, I listened to New Flame featuring Usher and Rick Ross. Great song for 1,000 minutes. So that's about 20 hours I listened to that song for the year, which is, I mean, okay, it's one of my favorite songs. VSOP is another great R&B song. So yeah, these are kind of the top 10. You can see it's pretty spread evenly, except for the first two. So I'd say this data is pretty, it's evenly distributed. I listen to, the top 10 songs about the same time. Nothing's really overwhelming another category, not like as much as here. And then here you can see, obviously, just it's good to see, two different sides. You can see it percentage-wise. You can also see it amount-wise in the bar chart. And as you can see, here's all the songs. Here's a fun fact. Other than these two songs right here, VSOP and the other side, every single song, nearly every single song is either featuring or by Chris Brown. So Chris Brown, Chris Brown, Chris Brown, Chris Brown, Chris Brown. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my top 10 songs were Chris Brown. So as you can see, he's my favorite artist. So now what we have is the amount of times I streamed the song, not the duration, That's how many minutes I listened to the song. This is how many times I clicked play. I searched it up, streamed it, and hit play. So I did the same process. It's a pretty repetitive process. And as you can see, No Air I streamed the most, which is pretty accurate because if people know me, No Air is my number one absolute favorite song. I listen to that song morning, noon, and night. And it shows because I played it 344 times. Body on Me is close, and then New Flames right behind that. So yeah, I'm a big R&B guy, but it's nice to see it again. Data frame, you can see how close it is. And it's nice to see that the data does back up what I say, that No Air is my favorite song, because it is my favorite song. So it's nice to see that my exploration of the data backs it up. So some items I discovered. I listened to Chris Brown a lot. Chris Brown is by far my favorite artist, and it's not even close. I streamed Chris Brown songs for approximately 5,000 minutes in 2023. And then, I got to change this, but most of my top 10 songs have to do with Chris Brown. Oh, this is what I was talking about. So as you can see, every single one of my songs is either featuring Chris Brown or is by Chris Brown, except for VSOP. I played Chris Brown songs. Nine of my top 10 songs that I actually pressed play were Chris Brown. So Chris Brown's my favorite artist, and it's nice to see that the data backs that up. Okay, so now here is where it gets a little interesting. So now I wanted to see, can I actually do some analysis on what time these songs were played at? So what I did is I copied, obviously, and it's good each time you try and do a new exploration, you copy the original data frame, because that way you can work from the original data frame without messing anything else up. So I did this, and I made a copy of it just in case I made a mistake. And here I had to import these packages again because something messed up from the beginning of the file to right here. And so this is where I get the Eastern Standard Time. So basically what this what this file does, it converts this column right here to Eastern Standard Time, because right now it's in military time. So right now I'm trying to get it to Eastern Standard Time. So what this is it goes to the column end time, strips the time, so it strips the date, because I don't want the date, I don't need the date. So it strips the date, gives the time zone, UTC, and then it gives me the localized time zone, UTC time. So it's going to read that I am in Eastern Standard Time right here, time zone. And then as time, Eastern Standard Zone as time zone, so it's going to convert the time to Eastern Time Zone, but it's going to do it where it's on the 12-hour, not military time. So basically, long story short, takes this column right here, end time, strips the date, converts it to 12-hour time, then converts it again to military. Strips the date, converts the military time to 12-hour time, converts that 12-hour time to Eastern Standard Time. So that's what that does. So basically, I did that, called it on the data frame. So this is the data frame before I added the column, and then this is the data frame after I did the column. So actually, it doesn't cut off the day. I thought it did. My apologies. It doesn't cut off the day. So I got this, and I don't need end time anymore because now I have it Eastern Standard Time. So now what I do in Eastern Standard Time is, again, another Lambda function. You're going to see throughout this project and future projects, I absolutely love using Lambda ever since I discovered it. It's great. So now I'm taking the last 11. So I'm basically cutting out these dates right here with this 11 right here, because obviously, as you can see, in the next iteration of this data frame, it's just a time, which is exactly what I need. But this time, I'm going to have to cut it into hours, because that's the only way that I can categorize it so I can do my data exploration. So obviously I stripped the time using this function. I really straight up just Googled this because I'm not really familiar with, whole converting time or whatever. So that's. And so with these two lines right here, I got it down to obviously the hour in which the song was played. And then I had to convert it. This is a lot of converting. Just a little side note, most of the data science project, machine learning projects you do, 90% of the time will be prepping the data for some type of exploration, some type of model pre-processing. It's just a lot. It's a lot of data prep. So this function right here, again, I just Googled this. So the time obviously takes the time, strips it, and then puts it into military time. Because I needed it military time, because obviously during a 12-hour cycle it's going to repeat. So I need 0 through 23, because that's how I'm going to categorize it. And so obviously I did that, got military time, and then I used this string.split to split it into an integer, because I got this part right here, and I just turn it into an integer, which you can see in the hour column. So what this split does is it finds the first instance of this, does expand equals true, and then it gets the first one after. So it doesn't get the 0, it gets the 8. That's what it's getting, because it's getting the first one right before the first colon. Yeah, right before the first colon. And so these are the bin edges, which is essentially a fancy word for my category edges, because I'm basically converting it into 4 different categories. So 0 to 7 is one category, 7 to 12 is another category, 12 to 18 is another category, and 18 to 23 is another category. So basically, from midnight to 7 a.m., 7 a.m. to noon, noon to 6 p.m., and 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night. So those are my categories, right? So, I mean, as you can see, we got the Eastern time, we have the military time, we have the hour, and we have the categories. So now we can actually begin our exploration. So what we have here is that most of my song, and remember, if we go back up, this is, where is it? Did I define it? I might not have defined it. This is the time that most of my music was played at. So most of my music was played at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. and 3 p.m., which is accurate because I'm off of work. I'm kind of downwinding. I'm either winding down. I'm either folding clothes, doing laundry, washing dishes, which I'm about to do after I record this video. So yeah, so obviously these are the amount of time. This is when most of my music was listened to. And then here we have when the category, so the time of day that most of my music was listened to. So obviously, if we go back, the second category I believe was noon to 6 p.m., which is accurate because obviously three of the top ones are between noon and 6 p.m. So that's what I did. So I did the same process as I did for the first data exploration. And as you can see, I played 6,000 songs at 5 p.m. or in the hour of 5 p.m. And then I played 5,000 songs at 6 p.m., 5,000 songs at 7 p.m. So, I mean, it's pretty accurate. And it does go down because these are the most popular times that I have played music. Obviously go down because I'm not awake. I might be going out, might be having a pregame. When I'm ever listening to music at 4 a.m., I genuinely cannot remember a time when I stayed up that late and listened to music, but hey, apparently I did. So yeah, and then now we have the category count. So what we did here is we got the categories, and we have to do it as integers because these px functions, they only take integers. In any chart, any graph, it's just going to take an integer. And so we have the categories. So obviously category 2, which is noon to 6 p.m. Category 1, which is 7 a.m. to noon. Obviously those are the top 2. And you can see the different categories of when I listen to music. So let's see, how much more do I have? I have a lot. So what I'm going to do, actually, because I want to keep these videos around 20-25 minutes long, just because long videos kind of don't do well on YouTube and everyone wants everything now, instant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here, and I will be continuing my next video with when I map my data set, the data I streamed, to different genres. And this is where I really get into it, and this is where it took me a while. And even as I'm recording this video, I'm gonna have to go back and redo this because I found a better data set to coincide with the one I have here. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will of course see you in the next one. I hope. I tune in. It's gonna be good. All right. See you guys in the next video. Bye.